Hello and welcome to Good News Africa. So for now, I'm looking at the recent reports that ODM is calling it quits in talks with UDA. So basically, what do you think about this ODM calling of talks with UDA? Basically, I think the ODM party now wants to go it alone. Of course, you have Junet Mohammed saying zoning must be there. Of course, the problem, first of all, is that senior UDA officials are attracting ODM members. So you have, for instance, in Kakamega, all the nine ODM legislators will be vying on a UDA ticket. So basically, that amounts to ODM. Basically, that amounts to maybe lingering on internal affairs of a party. So basically, ODM legislators in Kakamega will be vying on a UDA ticket. So that's something that ODM considers unfriendly, and of course, that then weakens the party. Then of course you have another party that is zoning. Another contentious issue is zoning. So basically, ODM is particularly concerned that UDA will be vying in ODM strongholds. Can you believe even in Homa Bay calling for zoning that used to be an ODM zone? Basically, if you were vying on an ODM ticket in Luo Nyanza, basically you were assured that the party will win. Basically, in fact, the real election in Luo Nyanza, the real election was that you were going to buy on was a party nomination. So basically, right now that is out of the window as President William Ruto's UDA seeks to raid ODM zone. So basically, that's it. Basically, I think ODM has 78 MPs, but I think that was because of the charisma and stature of Raila Odinga. But right now, that is not the case. So basically, that is not the case. And now ODM will be a weekend party without Raila Odinga. So basically, should ODM call it quits in major talks with UDA, that is, should ODM call it quits in merger talks with UDA? So basically, I would hope that ODM maybe it was a firebrand opposition party, but then of course let down by and now Raila Odinga is no more. Now they have to patch up and unify as a party. The Linda Mwananchi group led by the likes of Edwin Sifuna, Babu Owino, and of course Godwill Osotsi, who was attacked by goons. Basically, they need to patch up with the Linda Ground led by Oburu Oginga. Of course, you have some saying that Edwin Sifuna is disrespecting the party leader Oburu Oginga. But I think Oburu Oginga needs also to give them an olive branch so that they can come to the ODM party. Of course, the likes of Edwin Sifuna are not going to fill a presidential candidate because they deem that could be too much work, and it will be very hard for them to build a formidable party. Basically, to campaign for presidency in Kenya, you need at least 5-10 billion shillings. So where will Edwin Sifuna and Babu get such kinds of money? That's what needs to be asked. Where will they get such kinds of money? And of course, to mount a presidential candidate. So basically, that calls for unity within the ODM party, that you must unify as a party. Basically, don't entertain UDA. I think President William Ruto only saw Raila Odinga as his only rival, but of course, he also has some arithmetic to do. He is going to lose at least half of the Mount Kenya votes to the Gachagua. Basically, whoever Gachagua seconds as the presidential flag bearer, maybe Kalonzo Musyoka will likely be the opposition flag bearer. Whoever Gachagua sanctions as the opposition flag bearer, I think will have one foot inside the presidency. So you can see that very much Ruto also has his work cut out. He needs to maybe court the Mount Kenya votes more so that then he doesn't lose so many votes. Because remember, even if Ruto has the backyard of Nyanza, Coast, and Western, remember they are not so enthusiastic about his candidacy. So maybe they may not wake up to cast their votes as they normally do. So basically, that could be an affront on William Ruto's support base. Basically, the cause, remember, even when Raila Odinga was vying, even when Raila Odinga was vying for the ODM, for the presidency, the turnout in these regions usually was 70% and below. Basically, that is below the turnout of a place such as Mount Kenya, which could give a candidate about 85% voter turnout. So you had in 2022, Ruto won only in two regions, Rift Valley and Central Kenya, and that helped him become president versus Raila Odinga six regions. So you can see that very much the turnout vote is what is going to decide who will win the election. And of course, that leads to the Tukokadi movement. Of course, the Tukokadi movement is about ODM, basically, is about young people who are encouraging each other to take the voters' cards. So basically, the Tukokadi movement started by Alan Sademba is basically a move that will see the young people clamor out to come and vote. So basically, that's it about UDA and ODM politics. So do you think ODM should call it quits in major talks with UDA? Of course, Edwin Sifuna says when he says that Raila Odinga should not, when he asked Raila Odinga if he should be vying for the presidency, then Raila Odinga told him, who told you? So basically, it is likely that Raila Odinga will have bolted out of this union with UDA. So basically, that's it for now. I would hope that with the Kenyan politics going on like this, but then my question is, why don't we just leave aside tribal politics and engage in issue-oriented ideological politics? Because that just kills it. If we have personality cult-driven politics, the same national candidates who could be the game changers in this country, who could bring about bold reforms in this country, and then they are just phased out by this noise of tribal-based politics. So I will beseech you the water, basically transfer your allegiance from your tribe to an issue-oriented politics. We need to look at who has the better a jobs plan, who has a better infrastructure plan, who has a better healthcare plan. That is how we are going to ensure that we have leaders that have a real plan for us. Remember, that bribe that you take of 200 shillings will feed you only for a day, but the policies of a right-thinking leader will feed you for a lifetime. So basically, this is what I will urge for the voter to do: abandon the tribal-based voting and embrace issue-oriented politics. That's how we will save this country. So bye for now till the next time. Bye for now.